Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. Happy New Year. I am your host, Cliff Sargent, and today I'm doing a review that is very long overdue, and I've owed this review to John for a long time because I've been biting his line for the show ever since day one, So I figure for New Year's, hey, perfect. So this is Carsick by John Waters. John Waters is a man who needs almost no introduction. He is an American cult film director and author. He has done, Female Trouble, Polyester, Crybaby with Johnny Depp, and Iggy Pop as Johnny Depp's uncle, and Pink Flamingos is one of the most strange and disgusting and wonderful things you will ever walk out of, starring the late Divine. He's been given such nicknames as the King of Trash and the Pope of Puke. I like this. There's a lady with her dog, right next to my car while I'm filming, and she's talking to her dog the way people talk to their pets. Very strange ways. Pretty fantastic. Did you notice me? No. Oh, that's a big dog. Good thing I'm in here. So he's like the punk rock queer director, and he was so before that was even a thing, right? Before that was cool. He holds manners in good taste, though, in just as high regard as he holds crass humor and bad taste. John was gay when being gay, was dangerous. It was kind of, in his own words, outlawed, right? But he's interestingly conservative in some respects. He thinks coming out is square. And, he knew he was gay since the first time he saw Elvis Presley. It's interesting because he's like, he thinks that marriage is such a straight thing, too. So he's like, why would people want to get married? Of course, that he's fine with people getting married. But it was interesting. He's like, why? That's for straight people. Basically, to quote him, he's like, too much gaily correctness makes me crazy too. He's like talking about being gay in the 70s. Like, to me, we were outlaws. We used our wit for fighting words to be bad. I'm like, that's fucking cool. He doesn't give a flying fuck about political correctness, right? Yet at the same time, he is one of the most mild-mannered, polite, charming, and respectable gentlemen that, that I've come across. Not in person, though. I can only hope. He's great. He's got great taste in old shit-kicking rock and roll. On top of being an extremely radical director, he has an incredible film knowledge, which he does not hesitate to demonstrate in a very clever and witty way at every possible opportunity. So on top of being a director, John Waters also decided one day that it might be an interesting idea to hitchhike across America. So he did. And he wrote a book about it. Part of it's fiction, part of it is real. All of it, of course, is strange. The first section deals with the best that could happen, the second part with the worst that could happen, and the third part with, as you could guess, what actually happened. Like you would expect, there's quite a range, like the scene where, he's doing poppers in a squad car when this police officer is giving him a drive down the freeway, and they're eating donuts and high as hell, and they're headed straight for a tornado. I'm not going to tell you if that was one of the true stories or not. Or when he's picked up by a roaming, in his own words, hipster circus, and it is unanimously agreed that he will go under the title, or, he'll be presented under the banner, "See the man with no tattoos." We're a dying breed. So, is it Moby Dick? Fuck no. It's John Waters. If you've seen his films, you know immediately that he holds nothing back. But again, he is an incredibly upstanding, moral citizen, despite writing passages about being bitten on the ass by a rabid raccoon in the middle of the night while trying to take a shit on the side of a highway out of desperation. Or giving a handjob to a guy who was sexually aroused by demolition derbies in the demolition derby vehicle at said derby. Again, I'm not telling you if these are true or not. I'll read a little of these to you. There's one great one where he You know, he hasn't smoked for years, but he starts smoking again because this guy's conversation about the curse of the Cubs and sports in the Wrigley Stadium is so fucking boring. And this guy's chain smoking and it stinks. And John's just like, fuck, I need a cigarette. Oh, God. I grab a Parliament out of the box and light it in a desperate attempt to escape this maddeningly boring conversation. One drag and my head spins. I feel faint, like a teenage girl who has just lit up for the first time. No! I can feel my body yelling back at the first inhalation of cigarette smoke, but Woody's too self-absorbed to even notice. This ballsack actually curses Wrigley Field, he continues, flying off the handle. And you know what? What? I finally stammer, between reckless drags of nicotine pulsating into my bloodstream and instantly turning me into a chain smoker. What? What? I yell again, grabbing the whole pack of Parliaments out of his hands and actually eating one right out of the box, unlit. Or the time that a police officer mistakes him for Steve Buscemi. Officer Laddie interrupts. Let's do lines from Con Air. Okay, I remind myself. I said before I left I hoped people didn't recognize me, so why not play along? But I forgot them, I beg off. Loved your work, spouts Officer Laddie, suddenly doing a perfect imitation of John Malkovich in the film. Really, I can't remember the dialogue, I stall. Then suddenly I have an idea. I'm not really Steve Buscemi. I'm Don Knotts. Thinking my obvious pulling of his leg will end this charade, I'm astonished when it doesn't. He believes me. You know Andy Griffith? He asks in a wide-eyed wonder as we speed along I-70 West, obviously not knowing that both of these actors are dead. What the hell? He's giving me a long ride. Why not go along with it? I sure do, I say with Knottist, nervous pride. So, Don Knotts. I mean, some of you guys are probably too young to get that reference, but that is fucking funny. And then, of course, there's the time he rides with the extremely aged and really creepy Connie Francis. Now, I am, for the record, a straight man, but, goddamn, do I love Connie Francis, I'm telling you. If you don't know who she was a really big pop star who sang in multiple languages back in the 60s. And she has this she's a pop, it's pop music, but it's really, really haunting and very, very strange nowadays, And her stuff is just great. I mean, I heard it for the first time. I heard the Latin hits in this song called Si Bene, which was, I think Dean Martin did a version of that too. It was an old standard. But, oh my God, I think that was the lo-fi rocker Dirty Beaches, who's the shit. He made this mixtape, and he put this on there with stuff from the Twin Peaks soundtrack, and it just mixed perfectly. It was just this awesome stuff. So yeah, Connie Francis, if you haven't heard it, check it out. Might be your thing. But the story where John rides with her, I mean, it's really demented. She's aged and kind of creepy and almost delusional. Equally entertaining in the book are the real life anecdotes where people, recognize him and believe it, or they don't believe it, or him trying to prove himself to actually be a famous celebrity, to actually be, a film director to people who don't know who he is. Instead of them just seeing him as this kind of guy hanging out of the side of the highway with a clever sign and a well-trimmed mustache. Usually they're not convinced, which is really funny. Also, in the fictional stories, he always references all this old rock and roll, and he has the entire playlist in the back of the book listed, so you can check that out. I mean, for me, I love all that old shit. So it's weird garage rock and novelty songs, and yeah, that's great. All in all, you have a fascinating slice of Americana as seen through the eyes of one of the greatest cult film directors to have ever lived, right? And that alone is worth every penny. So buy his book, because I've been stealing that goddamn line from him since day one. Speaking of which, if you go home with someone and they don't have books, don't fuck them. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. I mean, we're at 5,500, over 5,000 subscribers now. And a whole new year full of all new books coming at you. It's very exciting. I don't know what to say. Thanks for being a part of it. Really glad to have you watching. Like I said, I hope you guys have a happy new year and have safe travels. I hope your family and friends are doing well. And yeah, I don't know. Donate if you can. And Carsick by John Waters. All right. Take care, guys. Ciao.